So my name's Ashley Ariana, and Fred Warner just got a contract extension. Out of all the extensions that have happened this offseason, this one, in my opinion, is the most deserved. We're going to be breaking down all the details and also talking a little bit about some contract details that came out for Brock Purdy and what's going on with that. But I wanted to start off because I'm excited. Um, Fred Warner is a consummate pro. He's an extraordinary leader. He's exactly what the 49ers would want on and off the field. And now he's going to be with the 49ers for a long time. His current deal that he was on for his contract extension runs through 2026. So the extension that he ended up getting is a 3-year deal. Now, that 3 years starts after the 2026 deal. So it's actually kind of like he's going to be here for another 5 years. Um, but it's a 3-year deal contract extension for $63 million. 56 of that million is guaranteed money. That makes him the highest paid linebacker for the second time in NFL. If you remember when he got his last contract extension, he was the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. Luckily for the 49ers, two of their best players play positions that don't get highly paid, that being linebackers don't get highly paid. I mean, obviously, this is highly, but compared to like quarterbacks, linebackers and tight ends, compared to quarterbacks, compared to wide receivers, you're getting a deal for them, even if they're at the top of their game. So Fred Warner, he's only 28 years old. He's still a younger player that has, tons of more time, knock on wood, on him. He's only missed one game his entire career since he was drafted in 2018. If you guys remember last year, he did have that ankle fracture, but he played all year with the ankle fracture and still was, voted to the Pro Bowl and an all pro player, even last year, which most fans would consider, if you watch every 49ers game, more of a down year. Um, Roquan Smith had just gotten paid a 5-year, $100 million deal by the Ravens, and he was previously the highest paid linebacker over Fred Warner up until this deal. Jennifer Lee Chan of NSNBC, Sports Bay Area, she wrote an article yesterday that said the 49ers and Fred Warner were close to getting a deal done. Fred Warner talked on last Saturday at his football camp, and reporters asked him what kind of money he was looking for, what he needed, and he was really humble. He said, "I make more than enough money. I'm so grateful to be a 49er. I think, they're going to work themselves, that stuff is going to work itself out," which is a far cry from, the Debo Samuel in the club wanting to get traded, Brandon Ayuk demanding a trade and going online and going on podcasts. I don't know if Fred Warner's just such a good player that he didn't feel the need to, stir up drama, and he was like, I can do whatever and they're still gonna pay me. Like he didn't need to get the fans mad at the 49ers for him to get paid. The 49ers were just like, I'm gonna pay him. And that's one thing I guess I could give the Niners credit for is it is May 19th and they have paid. Oh, hold on. What is happening? Why is this happening? I don't know. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But I'm gonna take out my phone. Um, where was I? Sorry, I got distracted. Uh It is May 19th, and the 49ers have basically capped all their offseason drama, paying Brock Purdy, paying George Kittle, paying Fred Warner. They, cut the players that they didn't want to give contract extensions, and now the core of the team has all been extended through 2028 or later. Um, like I said, I'm really happy that they locked up Fred Warner. I think he's an excellent player. He's been a four-time All Pro. Um, in the last 4 years, let's start 2021, he had 137 tackles for loss, 4 PBUs, 1 FF, coverage grade of, 72.4. He's only gotten better. That was, 2021. 2022, he had just as many tackle for loss. He doubled with 10 or more than doubled, 10 PBUs, 77.4 coverage grade. And then, I mean, his coverage grade just exploded the last 2 years. About the same amount of tackles, 132 tackles for loss, 11 PBUs, and then 84.4 coverage grade in 2023. And then last year, which was a down year because he was playing on an injury for the majority of the year, he had 131 tackles for loss, 7 PBUs, and an 88.4 coverage grade. That is with Dre Greenlaw, out, and that is with him playing on a broken ankle. If you're gonna, give goodwill and place your belief in any, because whenever you're extending a player, part of you is you're taking a gamble. Is this guy going to be healthy? Is he going to, if we give him a big contract, is he going to start caring more about off the field stuff? Is he going to start preserving his body so that he doesn't get hurt? And if he tweaks an ankle, he's going to say, "Oh, I'm already getting paid, so I don't need to work for it. I'll just sit out." Fred Warner's not that type of player. He has a resume proving he's not that type of player. This, like I said, I think is just a phenomenal deal. Um, I talked about Jennifer Lee Chan. So right now, Fred Warner's the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. Right behind him is Roquan Smith. Then what other 40 this is kind of interesting for the 49ers. Dre Greenlaw is the 10th highest paid linebacker at 10.5 with the Broncos, and then Azeez Al-Shaair with the Texans is number 8th. So, the 49ers, they sure know how to develop linebackers. The majority of those guys were brought up with Sala slash D'Amico Ryans. So, it's damn good that Robert Sala's back. I don't know if he's gonna really put all of his effort into our draft pick and make that linebacker ready to roll. D Winters is still on the team. So they're definitely going to need a guy on the other, to make up for the loss of Dre Greenlaw. Like I said, when I was reading off Fred Warner's stats, he is a coverage linebacker. He gets the defense in order. He is the Mike linebacker. He puts everyone in their positions. I always think of the Dallas Cowboys game when they had CeeDee Lamb, who was running to go score a touchdown, and Fred Warner step by step was able to keep up with CeeDee Lamb. Which is unheard of for a linebacker to be able to do. It's phenomenal. Um, so that's great that you have that speed element, and Robert Saleh really values a guy who's willing to sacrifice his body, tackle, and most importantly, be able to stop a guy and keep up with a guy. But there still is the loss where Dre Greenlaw was the line stepper and he was willing to punish you. And he wasn't as fast, and he was very fast, but he wasn't quite as fast. But he was like the hard hitter. Like if you got hit by Dre Greenlaw, you were not going over to his side of the field for the rest of the game. You learned your lesson. You were like, nope, I'm gonna drop that foot. Like when you saw him, when players from other teams saw him, wide receivers from other teams, it after getting hit by him, it shot fear into them that they would drop the ball. They would get so scared of being hit by Dre Greenlaw that they weren't able to perform for their team. And we still need that like really hard hitter on the 49ers in that linebacking core. Like I said, Fred Warner, I mean, has tons of tackles for loss. He is a hitter, he is a speed guy, but he's not quite on the line as much as Dre Greenlaw. And that's not taking away anything from him. Future Hall of Famer. Absolutely so glad that he's locked up with the 49ers. Like I said, not only for his play on, the field, but his mindset off the field. He does a podcast. And I remember last year he was talking about during like the mini bye week where Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle, who I like George Kittle, but they went with their wives and they went partying in Tahoe and they went out and they were drinking. Fred Warner and his wife did a podcast and she was kind of like teasing him. She was like, I'd like to go on vacation. And he was like, no, we go on vacation in the off season during the bye week. That is for me to get my body right, get my body healthy, so I can come back from the bye week and be 100% for the rest of the season. I want to go. I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to go on a playoff run. If I'm wearing my body down and not resting properly during the bye week, I'm not going to be able to do that. I come in, I train. Like he is such a disciplined player. He's so about the book. Everything in his life is football. I imagine when he retires, he'll probably get into maybe announcing or something. I think eats, breathes, sleeps football. He's like Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa has talked about how he eats the same lunch, same dinner, same breakfast, has the same pregame routine. Like he is dialed it down to a science for how he can perform the best. And that means he has to make sacrifices when it comes to going out late or staying with his friends or going and having these experiences. And I'm not saying either one is right. Like once again, I like Kittle and I understand needing to kind of like mentally get away from work. But I do have a lot of respect for someone like Fred Warner who can be so dialed in and so diligent and it really, really pays off. I mean, there's a reason, in my opinion, knock on wood, because I hope this continues, that he's been so healthy throughout his career. So good for Fred Warner. I want to talk about some Brock Purdy contract details that came out and stuff like that, but I'm gonna read some comments first. But yeah, I hope I did a good job because I know with some of these contracts I've kind of poo-pooed them. I hope I did a good job at really I think Brock I think Fred Warner is the leader of the team. I mean, I think of past training camps, whether it was Brandon Ayuk, whether it was Debo, like Fred Warner has talked about how he doesn't take training camp as like a joke. Like he'll pick out a wide receiver who he thinks can step it up and he'll challenge that wide receiver. I remember when it was Brandon Ayuk and they'll almost get in fights, but it's like brotherly fights where they know that they're just trying to make each other better. But he's not what I'm saying is he's not taking off a rep. He's not half-assing anything. He is using every practice to get better. He's using every training camp, every off season, every bye week to either, go in and do rehab, to heal, to make your teammates better. He himself believes that if his teammates are better and he's going against better guys in practice, that's only going to make him a better linebacker. And I just really, really respect that. I also know, I remember he said like before games, he'll either find the quarterback or the best player on whatever opposing team. And when they're all lining up and the national anthem is playing, he'll find that guy and he'll stare him down and try to he won't break eye contact and he'll try to make it so the other guy, starts looking away. And he's like, I want to put fear and show the dominance. Like I want to show him I'm not afraid of you. I'm never gonna back down. I'm never gonna look away. And I want to set that tone before the game even starts. He also, by the way, said that Geno Smith always looked away when they were facing the Seahawks, which I thought was a funny little tidbit. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna get to some comments and then we'll talk about some other stuff. But I have so much respect for Fred Warner. And like I said, maybe not everyone has to do things the way Fred Warner does, but I just think he's great. He put on a free football camp, like I said, this Saturday. That's where some of these reports came out and they knew that a contract was about to get done. But he was out there, in the community helping kids. Him and his wife are always donating money and time. They live here. Like a lot of these players, Nick Bosa, a lot of really great players, they don't actually live in the Bay Area and like support the community. The Warners do. They're all about like Fred Warner is a 49er through and through. He's going to be here, in my opinion, till the end of his career. And this contract is just another step closer to that. Like I said, the contract that he was on was until 2026. For you guys who are maybe confused, why did he get this contract extension? The guaranteed money had run out. So a lot of contracts, they have like they're front loaded. Christian McCaffrey's deal was like this when he got extended. So like if it's a 5-year deal, but there's only guaranteed money for the first 3 years, you could technically cut them for the second two for a really low, dead cap hit, and you don't have to pay them anything because all the guaranteed money is gone. So that's kind of the situation Fred Warner was in. He had another year on his contract, but it was like a fake year because it wasn't guaranteed to him. And maybe if it was, a player that wasn't playing up to standards, they might just be like, hey, play that out. And if you're good, then we'll extend you. If not, we won't. But because Fred Warner is so good, I think the 49ers wanted to get on top of it because the market only goes up. There's going to be more linebackers getting paid this offseason, which would, make his cost only go up. So I actually praise them for getting ahead of that before other teams are paying their linebackers and the cost skyrockets. They just said, you know what? We believe in Fred Warner. He's proven it to us. We're gonna, increase his contract extension, give him that guaranteed money. And it actually ends up lowering his cap hit this year, the way that since they added on years, they were able to spread it out more. So now he's actually on the cap for less this year than he would have been without his extension. Just that's the I don't know if that's important to you guys, but that's kind of the money talk of it all. Um, okay. Oh, I don't know what just happened, but okay. Fred Warner is an A+ player, all around person, in my opinion. I completely agree, Julie. Um, you never know how players really are on off the field. I was traveling to Florida a couple weeks ago and ran into Fred and Sydney Warner in the airport, and Fred Warner had actually just lost his wallet. It's like 5 in the morning. He ended up finding it, but I can't say what a pro he was. And you think like people would be like surrounding him, like, oh my God, it's Fred Warner. Maybe because it was just 5 in the morning, or maybe people were trying to be respectful. But he was pretty much him and his wife were pretty much being left alone. I saw them ended up going through TSA, and they didn't because they were waiting for, trying to get his wallet back. I was kind of like, "Ooh, he's probably not gonna get that wallet back," because I've left stuff in Ubers before, and it's really hard. Like a lot of times they're like, "It's not here," just because they don't want to drive back to you. Um, so I was like, "Oh, damn, that sucks." Cause like I think it was his I just was like, I don't know how he's gonna get on this plane without that. Um, I was sitting waiting for my plane after I'd gone through the airport security, and him and his wife came back up. And because I had ran into them previously, completely without me like initiating it, came up and they were like, "Oh my God, like we made it, we found our wallet. Like I hope you have a great vacation. Like we're gonna go take ours." It was their first it was an anniversary trip, and I think it was their first trip since they've had their son. But yeah, I mean he seemed like such a normal, humble guy. He was obviously dressed nice, but he's not like blinged out in crazy designer. I think he's just a really hard worker. I think he loves football. Obviously probably loves the stuff that comes with it as well, but he's not one of those guys that gets paid and then is like, "Oh, I got the car, I got the Lamborghini, I got the girl. I don't care to like work hard anymore." I think he likes the work, and that's so important. John Lynch went on Chris Sims' podcast um earlier this month and said, like what makes or breaks what makes or breaks a good football player is like, do they love the like everything that's not on Sunday? Because on Sunday you get the glory, you get the fans, you get the performance, but every other day you just got to go to the gym, you got to train, you got to eat right, you got to like be diligent. And Fred Warner is definitely one of those guys that does. And to me, seems like a good human, like I said, with his donations and charity and everything, um, outside as well. Obviously can't say for sure, but from my one interaction that I had with him, he was very, very nice. And very humble, just like very normal, which was kind of cool too. And then Big Mike says, "So excited, it's only May." I know, like we're used to all these contracts going down to, with the first week of the season, into training camp, holdouts, joint practices, holdouts, all this drama, and all these things are done in May before OTAs start next week. It's crazy. So everyone should be there in OTAs. It's wonderful. Israel kind of, saying the same thing. It's really nice that these deals are actually done early, not late. Um, Jonathan Perriman says both deals were great. I don't know if he's talking about because there's 3 deals that were done. Kittle, Purdy, and then Warner. I don't know which deals. I'm not stoked on Brock Purdy's deal, which I talked about when it was done. But I also understand that, it was the market is between 50 and 55 million. He got, you know, he got his money. I just wanted them to have him play out another year, but once they decided that they weren't going to do that, I guess it's better that they got it done later, or I mean sooner rather than later. Like if they decided to pay him no matter what, there was no way they were going to make him play out the deal. It's better. It's better that they at least avoided the drama so he can be there all camp, getting into a rhythm with his wide receivers and his running backs and the offense. I agree in that sense. Um, a lot of people kind of saying the same thing. The 49ers, no preseason drama with these contracts. Seems like maybe they've learned their lesson. I would hope so. I have a question to ask you because I think something that's how do I phrase this? So it's not good that they've let contract extensions go all the way till the final, days of the offseason right before, the game one. We've heard Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Nick Bosa, I think even Trent Williams have all discussed that these lengthy contract extensions have negatively affected their performance because basically all offseason they're stressed, which is not good for your body. They're not working out as hard because they don't want to get injured because they're, waiting on this contract, and they're not, working out with their quarterback and with their teammates. So they're not getting better and getting in a rhythm in that way either. So I'm really glad from that point of view that they got the extensions done. However, like if they were holding out all this time and then at the end they were saving themselves money and like making the team better because they could go out and get more players because they weren't giving these mega deals out, then maybe it'd be like worth it. I think the issue is they'd drag these deals out and then end up caving and giving the player whatever they wanted anyways. So it was like, well, if you were just going to pay them top dollar no matter what, you should have done that earlier. But holding out could kind of make sense if they were getting a deal out of it. When it comes to Brock Purdy, did they just end up giving Brock Purdy everything he wanted in May? Like, could they have gotten him on a cheaper contract if they did hold out a little bit longer? I am curious about that because, like I said, Brock Purdy, he got 5 years, 265 million, which is crazy. It's 53 million per year if you average it out over the 5 years, 181 million guaranteed, which the most important is how it's structured. And we don't have the full contract details yet, but we do know that Brock Purdy will be paid 100 million fully guaranteed at signing. So the second that he signs and they do the like press conference, like, oh, we have our guy, he's gonna have $100 million. Way to go for Brock Purdy. And then details that have came out, there's still some that haven't, is that the 49ers initial offer, the first one that they made, they didn't play around. You know how a lot of people were like, oh, I wonder if they're lowballing him. There was a report that they offered 45 million or something. The first offer that they ever made, the lowest offer was 49 million. They ended up signing him, like I said, to the 5-year 260 $5 million deal. But in the first 3 years, the way the contract extension is structured, the first 3 years, he's going to be making 55 average per year. 55, that's what Josh Allen makes, by the way. Josh Allen makes 55 a year. Is Brock Purdy as good of a quarterback as Josh Allen? This year, when people are confused as to why, the offensive line isn't as good, Brock Purdy is making 55 million. Is Brock Purdy, is he worth that? 55 per year for the first 3 years. The only thing is, after the first 3 years, if they do want to cut him, so that's the 2018 season, if they do want to cut him, the dead cap hit would only be 16 million, which is very cheap. Debo was like triple that. If you remember that cut, or they ended up having to pay Debo, I think 31 million to go be on the Commanders. So the 16 million is good. What came out earlier today, maybe yesterday, from Mike Garafolo of NFL Network and ESPN, it came out that there's a no trade clause for Brock Purdy and his contract for all 5 years. No trade clause. That's insane, by the way. It's insane. Jordan Love doesn't have a no trade clause. If the Packers decide, if they drafted a guy to be a backup and Jordan Love got hurt and the guy comes in and he plays just as good as Jordan Love for multiple games and he's 1/10 of the price, the Packers could trade Jordan Love, get something in return, and then just have that quarterback on a way cheaper deal. The 49ers could not do that. If Brock Purdy got hurt and Mac Jones or Curtis Rook next year, whenever he's healthy, if one of those two quarterbacks come in and they play just as well as Brock Purdy, they're playing at a top 10 level, Christian McCaffrey's there, Kyle Shanahan, who everyone says is the best play caller ever. If a quarterback comes in and plays just as well or even better than Brock Purdy for multiple games, Brock Purdy, the 49ers cannot, for the first 3 years, if they cut him, it's a $55 million dead cap hit. And after that, they can't trade him. They'd have to cut him. There's a no trade clause, meaning let's say the Jaguars go, "Oh, we think Brock Purdy's really good. We'll give you a second round pick for him. We'll give you a first round pick for him." And the 49ers are like, "Oh, wow, we can have this, other quarterback for 9 million a year. We can trade Brock Purdy and get a first round pick in return." Brock Purdy can say, "Nope, I don't want to go there." And the 49ers can't trade him. They lost all trade value. They signed that away. It came out. Like I said, the full contract details aren't out. We're getting a little more each day. I'm sure by the end of the week, probably. Because like I said, OTAs happen next week, so I think there'll be a press conference. I guess with all three of these guys, because they need a press conference for Kittle, Purdy, and Warner, because they've all gotten extensions, and we haven't seen the signing and the little press stuff yet. So I'm sure that will happen in the next 7 days. But it really is crazy to me that Brock Purdy has a no trade clause. That's crazy power to give a guy. And by the way, I like Brock Purdy. I think that people think I'm a Brock Purdy hater. I'm not. I think he's a really good quarterback. And I think he played incredible his first year. And I think he played, really, really, really middle of the road average last year. And I don't think you pay middle of the road average 55 per year for the first 3 years and give them a no trade deal. Meaning if he gets hurt, meaning if someone else plays better than him, even if he doesn't get hurt, they cannot move off of him for 5 years. He's only played for 2 years. He had one good year and one bad year. The 49ers would have lost nothing. They would have lost nothing by just making him play out another year. Why? What's the harm in doing that? If he would have played out another year, he would have either played really good and then they pay him and they give him all this stuff and it's like, "Oh, we got a franchise quarterback and we feel confident about it because he's had two, MVP level years. He had one down year, but the entire team got injured. It was decimated. It was doomed from the start and he's a really good quarterback and we can trust that if we're giving him a huge percentage of the cap, he's going to be able to make up for there being less talent because he's getting that money that could be given to other players." The 49ers, I was really on it this offseason. I wanted them to go get center Drew Dolman. They could not afford to go get Drew Dolman while paying Brock Purdy 55 for the first 3 years of his contract. So when people are upset, when there's a game and Brock Purdy's running for his life, I want you guys to know that Brock Purdy making this amount of money means that he's supposed to overcome these things. All the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, yes, they do have some help, but their team has weaknesses, and the expectation is they're going to be so good that you don't see these weaknesses, that they overcome that because they're taking money that could be going to another player. And to me, there was no harm in making Brock Purdy play one more year. Because, like I said, maybe he'd play great. I'm not saying he would have played bad. Maybe he would have played great, and then you pay him based on that. But if he would have had another down year, then you could just say, "Hey, you can franchise tag him. You can pay him 35 million, something closer to what Baker Mayfield is making." Um, it's just crazy. If you've only had a guy on your team for 3 years, he's played for two, to then commit yourself to five. You haven't seen him play for 5 seasons and you decided to sign up for 5 seasons. I feel the opposite of how I felt for Fred Warner. Fred Warner has so much history with the 49ers proving, "Hey, you can sign me. You can count on me." Brock Purdy is still just unproven. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying it's not proven, in my opinion, that he's worth the contract that they just gave him. So I couldn't believe the guaranteed money, and I couldn't believe the no trade clause. Why would you give Brock that much power? I don't understand. It feels like the 49ers completely just gave him whatever he wanted. They didn't play hardball at all. And part of me is like, okay, I guess it's good because there's no drama and I want Brock Purdy to be at OTAs and I want him to be at camp. But would he have held out anyways? I don't think Brock Purdy wanted Mac Jones to be the starting quarterback for the offseason. I think he would have played anyways. That's what, by the way, people are acting like this is insane. The Ravens did that with Lamar Jackson, who, in my opinion, is objectively a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. The Ravens made him play out his deal because they said, we're not sure. We think you're great. We want to pay you, but we don't have enough data to really commit. So do it one more time.
And he said, okay. He bet on himself. He said, okay. And he did it. And he got paid. And that's great. So I don't know. Am I being really negative? I'll look at the comments. I know this is a take that some people disagree with because a lot of people love Brock Purdy. I'm not saying I don't love Brock Purdy. I'm just saying 2 years is a lot of money, or a short amount of time to then commit. Okay, let's hear some disagreeing. Love you, Ashley, but disagree about Purdy's contract affecting the O line. Kyle and Shanahan don't care about the O line. Not so signing Dahlman has nothing to do with Purdy's contract. Yes and no. I agree they don't care about the O line. They've outwardly said that they like to save money on the O line, which is absolutely fucking insane. But the narrative that they've gone with, not they meaning Jed York, the owner, Kyle Shanahan, the coach, and John Lynch, the GM, all offseason and in Florida at Palm Beach when they had the owners' meetings, when they had the exit interviews, when the media has met with them, every time they've all echoed the same thing. We had to move off of certain players. We had to cut back on spending because we were going to pay Brock Purdy. They had to sell part of their team. The Yorks have a lot of money invested in things, but they don't have a lot of upfront cash. And in order to pay Brock Purdy, what happens with these bigger deals, you have to even if it doesn't all go to the player right away. So for example, I said he's getting 100 million at signing, but his guaranteed money, let me look. Where is the guaranteed money? Is 181 million. So they had to have 181 million in escrow right now. They won't be able to touch it. The 80 after they give him the 100 million, they're still going to be 81 in escrow ready to give to him. They're not allowed to take it back. So you have to have the full guaranteed money in escrow. The 49ers didn't have that much upfront cash. Would they have gone out and paid an offensive lineman if Brock Purdy was on his, cheap deal? Maybe not, because you're right, they don't seem to value it, but they could have. In this situation, I don't know if they actually had the cap space and the funds, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's not forget it's a team sport now. If Brock did average last year, then that's really good considering he had no O-line, no wide receiver open, no defense, horrible kicker, and the head coach that abandons the run game. This is fair. The rest of the team, Brock Purdy didn't, in my opinion, do phenomenal, but we can probably go back and see some games where I would feel like, okay, Brock Purdy, you need to make, even if it's not fair, you need to be able to put the team on your shoulders and you need to go down the field and be able to score a touchdown or get them in field goal range to close out the game. You need to be able to do that even when the odds are against you. Josh Allen is doing that. Mahomes is doing that. The top paid quarterbacks are doing that. However, there's also some games where he did go down and get them in field goal position, and then Jake Moody missed the kick. And I actually think there's games where he did that multiple times in one game and Jake Moody missed multiple kicks, or where he went down and scored a touchdown and you were like, oh my God, you're heavy breathing. It was a battle the whole game. They finally score and then their defense totally gives it up and the other team ends up winning the last second. So I agree. It's a team sport. The defense got ran all over last year. Now, the 49ers put a lot of effort in the draft to go get a lot of run stoppers. So hopefully that gets better as the season goes on. Those guys are obviously young and they haven't been with the team for a while. So I don't know if they're going to, out the gate week one be stopping the run like a complete wall. But as the season goes on, hopefully the defense gets a lot better. I'm betting on Robert Saleh in that situation. I'm still worried about the run game. With Christian McCaffrey coming back, he had the knee injury and then the bilateral Achilles tendonitis. The knee injury, I have no doubt, is healed up. And I bet the tendonitis is also healed for now. But the issue with tendonitis is it's an overuse injury that re-flares. It's not like a bone that breaks and then heals. It's like anytime you ramp up to that level of athleticism, again, you could trigger it. So I'm pretty nervous with Isaac Orendo, who didn't show much promise as being the number one running back. He was, good in rotation, but I don't think he can be the number one running back. And then they got rid of Jordan Mason, but they went out and got Jordan James from Oregon. But at Oregon, Jordan James was not a number one running back. He was used in tandem. So I'm still kind of nervous about the run game, the offense in general. You talk about the open wide receivers. Debo's off the team. But Yeah, is Ricky Pearsall's going to have to take a huge step up? Is it going to be Jacob Cowing or the Jordan Watkins guy that they ended up drafting? They need multiple wide receivers to step up because Brandon Ayuk's not healthy yet. I do think, I'm not sure, that they're using Kittle 100 times more in the running game or in the passing game, and that they have that Farrell guy that they signed, and they have him do most of the blocking. That's what I'm hoping. I hope that they really target Kittle specifically in the red zone much more. That was one of the only times that they had success in the run game or in the red zone. Last year, if you remember, their offense was just horrible in the red zone. Um, Getting Kittle the ball, I think, is something that they need to do on offense this year. And O line just got worse, in my opinion. I don't know. Some people think nope, Ben Barch is going to be a big step up from Aaron Banks. Ben Barch played well in one game. To me, that's once again not a big enough sample size. You know, Aaron Banks isn't worth the money that the Packers went and got him, but I don't necessarily know if Ben Barch is an upgrade. And then, center, Colton McKivitz, not, Jake Brendel, Colton McKivitz, Ben Barch, Trent Williams hopefully is back and healthy. I haven't seen any media or pictures of him, but I know that they say he's there. Um, I really hope he's there to protect Brock Purdy's left side. But yeah, I'm definitely still very nervous about that O line. And that's why I wish that they would have bolstered it. And I was calling for that all off season. Someone's saying I'm a clear hater because I'm talking about Mac Jones. I didn't say Mac Jones is going to be great. I'm just saying that you took away any incentive to be competitive. There's no reason. I mean, Joe Montana had Steve Young behind him. Like, Bill Walsh never wanted there to be a lack of competition. It didn't matter if you had the best quarterback, arguably of all time, depending on who you're talking to. I know my dad, I think, would still argue that Joe Montana is better than Tom Brady. Joe Montana never had no competition. He never had a no trade clause. Like, no. Bill Walsh was always asking about trading him and making sure that he knew Steve Young was right there to replace him anytime. And so he better have his shit together. He better be performing. And it made Joe better. Maybe it didn't, maybe they didn't like it from like a personal level, but as an athlete, it made him better. And both Joe and Steve have talked about that. They said, yeah, it was obviously hard personally, like on them to have constant stress and not like security. But as an athlete, yeah, it motivates you. It goes, okay, I've a little bit of an ankle tweak. If I have complete security, I might just sit out because it's not a big deal. If there's a chance that some guy behind me could replace me, I'm probably going to play. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm saying that I think competition, there's nothing wrong with not having it. Even if they extended Brock Purdy, that's fine. I think that they probably could have given him a little bit less. And they didn't need to give him a no trade clause. But I was fine with extending him. I said either A, make him play out the year, which is what I would have done, or if you were going to extend him, to not pay him more than like Trevor Lawrence. Because, like it or not, on the open market, even if it's fair, even if he hasn't, proven it, teams would be more likely to sign Trevor Lawrence than they would Brock Purdy right now. I'm not saying that that's the correct move. I'm saying that that's true. And by the way, the 49ers overall, Brock Purdy's extension is less than that. Probably because Brock Purdy knew that, so he had to cave in that way. Now, the first 3 years, he's making more, but overall, with the 5 years altogether, he's making less. The no trade clause is window dressing. Nobody's trading anything of value for Purdy, and the 49ers knew that. I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying, but why take away the possibility? There's some stupid teams out there. Like, teams, went and signed Jimmy Garoppolo. A team just signed Sam Darnold. I'm not saying these are wrong moves, but like a team signed there's Joe Flacco. Like, teams trade for players that aren't incredible all the time. Quarterbacks get injured and then teams get desperate. They need to have one. Yeah, Brock says no, then they can trade him to that team. If Brock say no, I think that you're confused. A no trade clause means that if Brock says no, they cannot trade him to that team. Now, he could say yes, like if it's like a good team or a team that, he wants to go to, or not even wants to go to, but that it's not a horrible situation. He could say yes. Like, he doesn't seem like a unreasonable guy. And this is obviously a hypothetical scenario. If Brock is great the entirety of his contract and healthy, the 49ers will probably never want to trade him. I'm just saying, why take away the option just in case? Um, so that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, this is opposite. If Brock says no, the 49ers cannot trade him. He'd have to say yes. Okay. Joe Cool, Montana is the great goat. Julie B, the 49ers are relevant to Kyle. Wow, I like the all caps. You really feel that. I love Julie. Different opinions, that's okay. Nice and calm. Um it's so funny, right? Like some people think Kyle is the savior, some people think Brock's the savior. I think that in their own ways, they both have saved and hurt the team. There's no doubt in my mind that at least his initial year, that Brock Purdy kind of saved the team and saved Kyle's job and Kyle and John's job after what happened with Trey Lance. Um, but if they lock themselves up to an average middle of the road quarterback and can't win a Super Bowl for the next 5 years, is that really saving the team? Like maybe momentarily, but for the next 5 years, they better win a Super Bowl. He better be a top 7 quarterback like he's getting paid. Same thing with Kyle. You could say he saved the 49ers because they were definitely in a dark place when he came, but has he been able to take them to the promised land, to the 49ers highest expectations? I would say no. And I don't know if he'll ever be able to do that. Kyle will. I think about the Warriors. I forget the name, but they had a head coach that kind of got them out of irrelevancy and really brought them. The Warriors were constantly, they were in the playoffs, they were in the mix after years of being completely irrelevant. They drafted Steph Curry. This guy is constantly getting the playoffs, but they're losing. And eventually, even though that guy was great and brought the Warriors out of irrelevance, they had to move on to finally get the guy that was going to bring them to the next level. So it just depends on what you see. I think in some ways Kyle has saved the 49ers, and I think in some ways Purdy has saved the 49ers, and I think in some ways both of them have committed the 49ers to, being just middle of the road average, which I kind of don't love. I'd rather them be competing for Super Bowls, which I think, by the way, they have the opportunity to do this year because their schedule is so horrible that, in my opinion, if they didn't make the playoffs, it would be a fireable offense. I 100% think they're going to make the playoffs. Once you get into the playoffs, especially if their defense is rolling by then, because like I said, young defense, but by the end of the season, they could be rolling into shape. Now, rookies get a little tired because the college season is a lot shorter. But if they have stamina still, if they're really starting to feel like some congruence within each other, then they could make an impact in the playoffs. If Chris McCaffrey is healthy, if Trent Williams is healthy, these are ifs. Trent, Kittle, and Christian are all older, injury-prone players on offense. So it's going to be scary, and I think that's going to make or break a lot of this season. If they can be healthy by the time the 49ers make the playoffs, I think the 49ers can make a run for it. If not, it could be a first round exit. But if you guys watch, I know a lot of people are saying I'm a hater. I said that they were going to go 13-4. Maybe 12, maybe, or is that, did I say that 13-4? Maybe I said 12 and yeah, I said 13-4. It's circled right there. If you guys can see 13-4. Maybe 12-5 because I think someone convinced me that they'll probably lose one of the Ram games. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. Normally I don't go live till Tuesday, but so much news was happening I had to come out. I should also talk about the 49ers did announce, let me make sure I have his name. They signed a kicker. Let me see. This is Brent Jones. That's not what I'm talking about, but Brent Jones is nominated to be in the Hall of Fame, which is good. Okay, 49ers. Why are you not announcing it? Hold on. I wanted to get his name. They signed a kicker, but I don't have his name, which is pretty unprofessional of me. My bad. Let me. Damn, why do they? I thought that the 49ers announced it themselves, but maybe I'm wrong. We're looking at the wrong place. Right here?
49ers officially signed kicker Greg Joseph and waived D tackle Alex Barrett as a corresponding move. Greg Joseph was the Vikings kicker. I don't know if he was the Vikings kicker last year. I know he was the Vikings kicker for like the first 4 years. I think the Vikings drafted him and then he was with them at least not last season, but the season before. I only know that because I went to that game and I saw him kick, and he had a really pretty girlfriend. When I looked him up on social media, she was gorgeous. She was a cheerleader, and I'm a cheerleader. Random. This doesn't matter, but I know who Greg Joseph is because I know of his girlfriend. She was like a famous kicker. He's a kicker. She was a famous cheerleader. She was on that Netflix show that was about cheerleaders. I'm a big cheer fan because I used to be a cheerleader. So that's all I know. Israel says, so is Shake Moody out? No, it's just going to be a kicking competition. I think they have like 3 different kickers right now because they also they had an undrafted guy that they had signed to the 90-man roster or whatever it is before it gets cut down. So I think right now we have 3 kickers that are going to come in to OTAs and camp, and then they'll slowly figure out who it is. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's. I'm a cheerleader too. I think you're kidding. Hello, Eric. I appreciate your effort, but my list of Kyle's sins is too long for that to happen. I like that you guys are debating Kyle's. Mr. Corey has them at 14-3. I originally had 14-3, but then I was talked into. No, I had 13-4, but then I was talked into 12-5 because I do think that they'll probably split with the Rams. I don't think they'll beat the Rams both times. So that's why I have that. I really quickly, I've said this 100 times, but I have the Seahawks win, Saints win, Cardinals, first Cardinals game, home opener loss. I could be wrong on that because are they really going to lose during their home opener? I think there's going to be a lot of motivation not to. I just think that the Cardinals team is going to be good at that point, and then the defense might not totally be in shape yet. I have the Jags as a win, and by the way, when I'm saying win or loss, I mean for the 49ers. Rams game number 1, loss. Tampa as a win. Falcons as a win. I put them beating the Texans, which I know a lot of people think the Texans will win. Giants win. Rams. This is where I was talking to another Rams loss. I originally had it as a win, but then I was talking to maybe that game is a loss. Cardinals, I think, is a win. So I have them splitting with the Cardinals. And then Panthers win. Browns, I have as a loss, but maybe I'm wrong. I just think 49ers have not won in Cleveland since 1984. And Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator for Cleveland, has just really had Kyle's number. He's beaten Kyle like every single time they've ever faced each other ever, no matter what team they're on too. Like they've been on different teams, and Jim Schwartz has always beaten Kyle. So I just think the Browns, even though their offense could be shit, that their defense is going to be really good. Week 14, they have a bye, and then I have them coming out beating the Titans, beating the Colts. I put a loss to the Bears, which maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overhyping the Bears and the Ben Johnson effect, but I have that for now. And then a win for the Seahawks. So I have them losing the in division games, I think are the most important. I have them losing to the Rams both times. I have them beating the Seahawks both times, and I have them splitting with the Cardinals. I don't know. That's my guess. Um, they've only played in Cleveland. I didn't know that. That helps. You think that they're sweeping Arizona? I disagree. The Cardinals ran all over them last year. The Cardinals beat them both times last year, running all over them. And the Cardinals have added to their defense and gotten better this offseason. I think they're splitting. But maybe I'm wrong. Julie says our division is one of our toughest opponents on the schedule. I predict we lose all division games, might win 1. Interesting. The division games are definitely the hardest. The other games, I mean, Titans, Colts, Giants, Falcons, that shit's easy. If they don't beat those teams, they're not doing shit in the playoffs. But yeah, I agree. The division is going to be the hardest. I think the Rams got significantly better, which is why I originally had them splitting with the Rams, and then I was like, they're probably going to lose to the Rams both times. I was able to be talked into that.
I just don't believe in the Seahawks, but I know when Tom was on, that Tom was much more confident in the Seahawks than I am. So, anyways, I love you guys. Please make sure to give me a like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. I'll be going live as soon as we find out the full details of Brock Purdy's contract. Right now, it looks like the out, if there was going to be an out, which once again, if he plays well, everyone who gets mad at me, if he plays well, people are talking about Jordan Mason in the comments right now. If Brock Purdy plays well, he'll obviously stay. If he doesn't, it looks right now like they'll be able to get out from the deal in 2018 or 2018 in 2028 for only 16 million, which is great. But the confusing thing about that for me is Sean Lynch and Kyle Shanahan's deals expire in 2027. And I was hoping that those kind of like paired up, because if they did that the next 2 seasons, they decide to move on from Kyle, you would think that the new quarterback or the new coach would want to pick his own quarterback. And Brock Purdy's just like going to be there for an extra year. So that's what I'm thinking. Oh, Julie, I hope your day gets better. You're always so I literally light up every time I see you in my comments, or every time you comment on any stream I'm on, or my shows after. So I really hope your day, I'm glad that I brightened it, and I hope it turns around whatever's going on. I hope it's nothing to do with health and that you're feeling okay. And then if it's just a mood thing, that it passes and tomorrow is a much better day for you. But I love you so much. And once again, you brighten my day. Seeing you in here, like people always talk about, because I'm a girl, so people make comments about if I know anything about football or something, and you're someone, who's so engaged and knows a ton about football. So I always appreciate you in my comments. I feel like we're out here trying to defeat the people that say that the women can't know about football, because we definitely love it and are invested. Um, Someone said Ashley cheerleader spirit. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then people said, uh, wait, I'll take Jose Cortez over Moody. He sucked. I don't know who that is. But I do know that there's going to be a kicker competition. I think I said that. There's about 3 guys. One of them is the Joseph guy that I just talked about. One of them, Jake Moody, and the other one, I don't know his name, to be fair. Maybe it's this guy. Um, but anyways, please make sure to hit the like button, like and subscribe. It means a lot and really helps out my YouTube channel. And like I said, I'll be going live to figure out the rest of Brock Purdy's contract extension details and anything else that happens. And then I'll also be going live during OTAs, which are happening in just a week. So that'll be exciting. Love you guys so much. And I hope you guys have a good start to the week. Monday, get some sun if you can. It's sunny out here, which has really been helping. Although I don't know if you guys can tell, I've had the worst allergies. I've been itching my eye like crazy. So it was so red. I had to like rinse it out. I think I'm going to take Zyrtec. I try not to take medicine if I don't have to. This is TMI. I need to end the show. But I try to take medicine if I don't have to. I used to get really bad hay fever when I was a kid. And I think over time I got, kind of adjusted to, I lived in, blah, 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 blah. I lived in Sonoma County growing up, where I had really bad hay fever. And then I went to Southern California for college and school and stuff. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's by the ocean, but I had way less allergies there. I'm back in the Bay Area. I'm in Oakland. My allergies have been crazy in the Oakland Hills. Yeah. So pray for my eye, because I've been rubbing it like crazy. And then I'm like, I don't want to get pink eye, because I'm like constantly touching my eye. I've been washing my hands like crazy though. They're so clean. They're actually really dry, because I probably am washing them too much. I'm going to end it now. Too much information. I'm going to go take a Zyrtec. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.